Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can properly manage and load your secrets in your .NET applications using AWS Secrets Manager. Now you can do the same thing with Azure Key Vault or HashiCorp's Vault feature. However, in here we're gonna see how we can do it with AWS because that's the platform I've been using for the past 3 years professionally, and I've seen this thing scale, so I can talk about best practices. This video is also sponsored by AWS, so the code can be found down below for this demo for free. If you like the type of content and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell. And for more training, check out nickchapsas.com. So I'm going to start this video with explaining some configuration basics because it's going to be very important for you to understand how things are loaded. And the first demo will be all about how you can use this and correctly load secrets in your ASP.NET Core applications, because I think that's most likely where you're going to use this. Later in the video, I'm going to touch on some more advanced stuff, but that's later. I'm going to start with things you can actually just use straight away. So let me show you what I have here. I have an API here that has a single controller, which all it really does is we're injecting an iOptions object of the database settings object that I have made over here. And this is very standard. You have a section name for your settings, and then you have the settings themselves. So in this case, I only have connection string, and you can find that here in this app settings.development.json. And then you have the default one, which in our case is the prod one. And if I was to run this, this is registered in the program.cs over here. It is configured by section. And if I go ahead and I call that endpoint, as you see, I'm getting connection string is dev here. So this is all this is doing. And the reason why I'm doing that is to demonstrate how secrets will be loaded in our application. Now let's talk about some configuration basics. You will see that I have two app settings files here, and in your applications you might have more. You might have created the QA one, the sandbox or the pre-prod one. You might even have a named production one. The way this works is that depending on the ASP.NET Core environment variable that is loaded when the application runs, and in our case this is development here, it is coming from the launch profile, the environment of the application will be determined and then will be used to load first the generic app settings.json and then the environment specific app settings.json, and the environment specific one will override what's in the default one. So for example, if I say log level warning in the app settings.json, but I load this application as development environment, then that value will be overridden by information which is in the development. Same goes with a connection string. Now, if a setting does not exist at all, so if I went ahead and I deleted that and I run it again, then obviously there is nothing to override the value that is in the prod file, so it's going to just default to prod. That's it. Now, it goes without saying that you should not have secrets like API keys, connection strings, anything sensitive in your app settings.json. You just don't. You should never have them there, and you should never check them in. It's a bad practice. It's a security vulnerability. You should not do that. If you want to manage secrets locally, .NET has actually a user secrets API which you can use. So you can go to the top level of your project and say in the terminal .NET user secrets init. And this will just initialize the secrets for that project, and those are stored in your PC or Mac or whatever you're using. And you will see now that if I go to the CS proj, this is creating this user secrets ID, which is effectively just linking the GUI generated here to something stored in my PC to be able to match those values. So what I'm going to do now, and I just made this bigger so you can see it without my face covering it, is I can say .NET user secrets, and I can set, by using the set command, the value I want to set. So for example, here, I want to set a secret connection string for my database. So all I need to say is first the key name, and the key name is the top level for my section. So in this case, it is database. And then you can go deeper into the nesting levels by using a colon. So I can say a connection string, and then the next value is the connection string. So I'm just going to grab the localhost connection string, and this should look something like this. So this is just the local connection string for MS SQL. So I'm just going to set that value. And the moment I do that, if I go ahead and I debug this application now, irrelevant of the environment loaded, if I call that endpoint, I'm going to get the value based on the secret. So this is very important for you to understand on how the layering of the different secrets work. Now, what I want to do is I want to securely load secrets from a location that is specifically made to store securely those secrets and allow me to load them in my application securely. Clearly, this is not the app settings files, and the only reason why I have these values over here is so you can distinguish which value is loaded from dev and which value is loaded from prod. In the actual secret, we're going to store the full value of, well, the secret. So keep that in mind, and I'm going to delete that value that I just set. So I can just do a remove over here, and that's no longer there. So if I was to run this again, and I call the endpoint, as you can see, this is all dev. So we have that in mind. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the AWS console. Now, I will not be authenticating against AWS using basic authentication. Instead, I'm authenticated by authenticating my whole machine against AWS. And this is really how you should do this, because keep in mind that when you want to use Secret Manager, but you need a secret to load the secrets from the Secret Manager, you have a bit of a chicken and egg problem where your secret will be in Secret Manager and you cannot be properly authenticated against AWS with basic auth if you want to get the secret, to use the secret, to load the secret. I know it's crazy. So how we do this is with permissions and IAM roles, and we authorize the system itself or the pod itself in Kubernetes or the ECS task itself to properly do this. So keep that in mind, this is important. Now I'm gonna go to the AWS console. So this is what it looks like. And all I wanna do is go up here and say Secrets Manager. That's the service we need. It's specifically made to store secrets and load them just very, very securely, and will also allow us to do things like secret rotation. Now, I'm not going to show you how you can do secrets rotation here, but the idea is that you can actually update a secret, usually based on an interval, let's say every month or so, or every time, for example, it leaked for some reason, and automatically have your services using that update and the database update. And Secrets Manager has support for some databases out of the box, for example, Aurora, RDS, Postgres, MySQL. Those things can do that automatically for you. We're going to be doing the process manually, assuming that this is not a specific database key, but I will be using a database connection string just to keep it relevant to what you might be doing. So you can see the pricing right away. Per secret, per month, you're going to pay P, and then per 10,000 API calls, which an API call can be rotate the key or retrieve the key or list the keys or secrets, which is really the terminology I should be using. Then you're going to pay 5P for that. So 40p per secret, but each secret can have a key value pair as a JSON object. So how you're going to load that is really up to you. I'm just going to show you in this video a very nice and easy way to do this. So first we're going to go with storing new secret, and I'm going to say other type of secret here. And I'm just going to do plain text. So I'm going to delete that. If you want to have a key value pair in the secret, you can. But I don't want to. I just want to have a connection string. And the connection string will look something like this. It is just a database connection string which chooses the server, the database, the user ID, and the password. They should be secure. They should not be in my app settings file. It should be here. And then I have to choose the encryption key. Now I'm using the default Secrets Manager key. I won't go too deep into KMS, but the idea is that you can actually specify your own key as well if you want, which is used to encrypt the secrets behind the scenes. We don't need to do that. There are cases where you might want to do that, but maybe something for a different video. So we're going to go with next now. And I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to give my secret a name. So the way you might want to do this, and this heavily depends on your AWS account structure, but I'm going to show you something, assuming you're using the same account for development, prod, sandbox, whatever, which isn't really recommended, but just to show you how flexible this thing can be, I'm going to say production here. We're going to distinguish that this is a production secret, and then I'm going to use the application name here. So in my case, the application name is going to be secretsmanagement.api. So I'm going to paste that here, and then I'm going to say underscore, and I'm going to have the same structure in here as I have for my settings. So database is my section, so this will go here. So paste database, and then double underscore, and this is important, you will understand in a bit why it is important, and then copy connection string here and paste it here. And that's it. You can use tags if you want to, you can choose permissions, and you can also replicate the secret in multiple regions. Again, we don't need to do that. This is a bit too advanced, maybe something for another video or a course. And once we have that, you can enable automatic rotation, where in an interval, let's say every 40 days, you are automatically rotating the key, changing the key, and every service using it is also automatically updated. But we don't need that. This is a bit too advanced too. And once we have that, we get the chance to see what's going on. It also gives us a bit of a code snippet if we want to just grab that and retrieve that key in our code. We will not be using that. We'll be using a way better approach. So I'm going to say store here, and I'm going to do the same thing with a development key. So I'm just going to copy that and say store secret again, and I'm going to store a second value. But instead of using the production one, I'm going to say just dev. So I'm going to use dev just to differentiate between the development environment and the production environment. So my dev username and then my dev password. And that's it. I'm going to just save the key, same settings as everything else. The name will be, of course, development, and then the name of the thing, and then same thing, underscore database, double underscore connection string, paste that. Here we go. And that's it. Next, store. So we have our two keys now, the production one and the development one. And we just open them in new tabs because we will be playing around with them. So once we've done that, what I can go is I can go back to the code and actually implement the code that retrieves the secrets and adds them into my configuration natively. So I'm going to do that by going to NuGet and searching for AWS Secrets Manager. And I'm going to use this package called extensions.configuration.aws secrets manager, and this is a package created by a third party, and you can find the code on GitHub. It's a very small code footprint, but it has some really nice features that just makes this a breeze to work with. So I'm going to add that, and we have it now in. And all I need to do to integrate my app with that is the following. So all I need to do is say builder.configuration.add secrets manager. Now I have to specify if I want the credentials, but I don't need to. And the region will be inferred automatically, but I will say West 2, EU West 2, which is London. And I'm also going to say configurator, and I'm going to pass the options down. So we're going to configure a few things. Now, there's a few problems we have. First, I do not want to load production secrets if I'm just running this into development. And I don't want to load development secrets if I'm just running this in production. I say just in production. So what I can do here is I can say options.secrets filter, and I can specify a delegate where a filter is applied when the secrets are loaded. And if they're not relevant to what I want them to be, then I can just ditch them. So for me, what I want is the entry.name of the secret. And you actually have a bunch of other things you can actually base this on, from the KMS key ID to stages to a bunch of different things. But all I need to say is that entry.name.starts with, because I care for my secret to start with development or production, so my environment plus the application name. So I need two values. First, I need the environment, and I can get that by saying builder.environment.environment name, and I can also say app name equals builder.environment.application name. Now, something I should point out, it is very common for people to not want to use Secrets Manager when they're locally working with the project. So development here is really referring to the development environment, not so much with the local host running. Some people use a different name. Some people use the local name to differentiate between the two. But if you want to not load those things when you're working locally and just use your user secrets instead, you can do builder.environment.is whatever is development, or you can grab the environment name and match it to local or whatever, and say that if it's not local, for example, then don't load the add secrets manager call. So keep that in mind. Not everyone wants to use secrets manager when running locally. And all I need to do here about my starts with is say, if this starts with env underscore and then app name underscore, then load them. That's it. However, I want my secrets to automatically be mapped into my configuration. And for that to happen, there's actually a configuration provider behind the scenes, but I need to adapt the key look and feel to what ASP.NET Core accepts, you know, the colon approach. To do that, all I need to do, and this is very simple, is say options.keyGenerator and say s.replace, and I need to replace the environment and the app name with nothing. So remove the beginning things. So I can just copy that and say replace this with string.empty. And let me just new line this so you can see it. And then I also want to replace all the double underscores with the colon. That's it. Now, once I do that, and I can actually just discard the entry because I don't use it. Once I do that, keep in mind, my system is authenticated against my AWS account. If I now run this, and keep in mind, development has dev here and production has prod here. So I'm going to debug this and go back to Postman, and this is running. So I'm going to say run, and this is now loaded automatically from AWS Secrets Manager. Just like that, I didn't have to do anything. It just automatically maps it. And this is awesome because now if let's say this was launched into production, which is what your system would do if you were running this properly, is just debug this, go back. Remember, dev server address, this is all dev. If I run again, production. This is loading the right secret, the appropriate secret for this environment without overfetching for secrets that it should not know about. Now, this is fine. However, here's the thing. Secrets can change and they might be rotated. So what I might want to do is I might want to have an iOptions monitor instead, which the iOptions monitor, in case you don't know, will actually get you the current value and will account for edits of the value. Not magically, we'll see that, but if I change that now and I go back to Postman and I call this, then as you can see, I'm getting this absolutely fine. Now, if I go to Secrets Manager and I select Retrieve Secret and Edit, and I say my production server address instead and say save. Now, if I go back to Postman here and I click that, this isn't updated. It just says production server address, even though I'm using an iOptions monitor. It doesn't actually update. So this is the problem. How we can deal with this? It's very, very simple. All you need to do is go to program.cs and add an extra value. Say options.polling interval. And this will poll for changes on the secrets we care about. So I can specify that as anything I want. We're using a time span. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use 10 seconds. Keep in mind, if you're using this, you're making one API call per secret. So your allowance might be affected by that, and the rate with which you're being charged will also be affected by this choice. So for me, I don't really care because this is just for a video, but you might want to have it in a different polling interval. So I'm just going to do 10 seconds. So I'm going to say debug now and run this. And with this running, I'm going to go back here and you can see now my production server address, and I'll go back and edit it again and say my second production server address. I say save. Go back here, click send, and then on a 10-second interval, if I keep clicking, my second production server address. So keys can change as they're being rotated, and my application can be updated too without having to store them in an inappropriate place. So this is absolutely solving the problem with secrets management and loading securely. So if you're already in AWS, you should be using this. If you're not in AWS, you can still just use this feature from AWS. And this is not just the only thing this tool can do. We're going to go a bit deeper now in a separate project. We're going to go into the console application project, and we're going to take more of a deep dive. Now, this console application has nothing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the AWS SDK.Secrets Manager project, and I'm going to install that. And this gives me access to the Amazon Secrets Manager. So I can say Secrets Manager equals new Amazon Secrets Manager. I'm going to specify the region to be West, EU West 2. Here we go. And once I do that, what I can do is say var result equals await Secrets Manager dot get secret value async. And I need a request for that. So I'm going to say var request equals new get secret value request. And all I need by default is the secret ID. Now the secret ID is this, the secret name. So I'm going to load that. And once I grab that, I can just paste it here. And I'm going to use this request to get the ID. So I'm going to say console.writeLine, and I'm going to write result.secretString. You can get other values too, but just for now, I'm going to print that value. So I'm going to run this project, and as you can see, we're getting the production value. However, there's other things I can request for that secret. Now, here's a hypothetical. You had the secret, you want to roll back. What do you do? Well, you can actually specify two things: the version ID, if you know it, but also a version stage. So if I use nothing, by default, it will use the AWS current version stage. So you don't need to know the version ID itself, which is just GUID. But if you do AWS current, it will give you the current version of the secret. But you can also do AWS previous. And if you do that, we are going to get the previous value, my production server address of the secret. But you don't have to do that. What you can do is say list version IDs request equals new list version IDs requests. And I can say secret ID and pass down the secret ID here. So I'm just going to grab the whole thing. And once I do that, let me just move this request below the secret retrieval. And I'm going to not use the version stage. Instead, I'm going to use the version ID object and say versions equals await secrets manager dot list secret version IDs async and pass down the request object. And I'm going to say version dot versions dot first. And I'm just going to grab the first thing in that array. And I'm going to use the version ID for that. And that's it. And of course, you can customize it in any way you want. And once I do that, I'm going to run this application. And as you can see, I'm getting the first thing again. Let's debug it too, so we can see exactly what's going on behind the scenes. So I have my versions. I'm going to grab the version response. And as you can see, if I list this, where is it? Versions. You can see I have two different versions of that secret with the version ID and the stage. So the current and the previous, and you can roll back if you want to very, very easily. And you can grab the version ID and get other metadata about that thing too. Very, very nice. The SDK is very flexible. So if you want, you can do other things like Secrets Manager dot create secret, delete secret, describe the secret, list it, restore it, rotate it. You can do so many things. Now, personally, in my applications, I almost always just use that package that I showed you because it makes the 99.9% of my use cases so easy. If I need to write something very custom, I might use this approach, but probably you don't have to. So keep that in mind. You can grab the SDK straight away and do anything flexible you want, but that other package is very, very nice. I'm going to leave a link to it down below. So if you want to give it a star, please go ahead. It's a very, very nice package. Well, that's all I had for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to my Patreons for making these videos possible. If you want to support me as well, you're going to find the link in the description down below. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and ring the bell as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Keep coding.